I always imagined betrayal as a distant concept, something that happens to other people, something you read about in novels or see in movies. But there I was, sitting across from Mia, my sister-in-law, in the dim light of a downtown cafe. The steam from our coffees mingling with the chilly air between us. Mia's hands trembled slightly as she slid a manila envelope across the table toward me. "Jenna, I think you need to see this," Mia said, her voice laced with a hesitant firmness. Her eyes, usually so full of mischief, were somber, reflecting a seriousness I had never seen before. "What is this?" I asked, my heart starting to race as I reached for the envelope. "It's about Lisa," she replied, swallowing hard. "Lisa, my wife, the love of my life, or so I thought." I took a deep breath and opened the envelope. Inside, there were photos, emails, text messages, evidence of Lisa's months-long affair with someone I had considered a friend. My world tilted, the cafe spinning around me as betrayal seared through my veins. "Why are you showing me this?" My voice cracked, barely above a whisper. "Because you deserve to know the truth. I couldn't let her do this to you any longer." Mia reached across the table, her hand hesitating in the air before resting gently on mine. "I'm so sorry, Jenna." Anger bubbled up inside me, hot and fierce. I stared at the photos again, each one a hammer blow to my chest. How could she? How could they? I shoved the evidence back into the envelope, my mind racing. "What are you going to do?" Mia asked, her voice a soft murmur. I looked up, meeting her gaze. "I'm going to destroy her in court." The words were cold, final, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling inside me. "And this is just the beginning." Mia nodded, understanding the unspoken depth of my anger. "If you need anything, evidence, testimony, whatever, it's yours. Just say the word." "Thank you." The gratitude was genuine, surprising even me. Despite the agony of the revelation, Mia's allegiance gave me a strange comfort. The rest of the day was a blur. I met with my lawyer, laid out the evidence, and set the wheels of retribution in motion. As I lay in bed that night, the darkness didn't bring peace, only a restless energy. Lisa thought her little affair was just a secret fling. She had no idea it was about to become her worst nightmare. And as for me, I was only getting started. As dawn broke, the crisp morning air filled my lungs with a sense of purpose. Today was the day I would confront Lisa. The stillness of the early hour gave me the courage to face what must be done. Not just for vengeance, but for my own closure. My phone vibrated incessantly with calls and messages, but I ignored them all. There was only one conversation that mattered now, and it was time. I drove to our house, the one that once symbolized our shared dreams, now just a stage for confrontation. Lisa was in the kitchen, her back to me as I entered. The sound of my footsteps alerted her, and she turned, a smile forming on her lips. It faltered when she saw my expression. "Jenna, what's?" I slammed the envelope down on the kitchen island, cutting her off. "You might want to sit down," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Lisa's eyes widened as she sifted through the contents of the envelope. The color drained from her face, replaced by a guilty pallor. "Jenna, I can explain," she stammered, her voice trembling. "Save it. I've heard enough from you," I snapped, my hands clenched at my sides. "How long, Lisa? How long have you been lying to me?" She was silent, her lips quivering as she tried to formulate a response. Before she could speak, the doorbell rang. Confusion crossed her face, and I walked past her to open it. Standing there was Tom, Lisa's affair partner, and behind him, my lawyer, Alex, and a private investigator, both looking grim. "Tom, glad you could make it," I said icily. The shock on his face mirrored Lisa's when he saw me. "I thought we should all talk, face to face." Lisa stood frozen by the kitchen island, her betrayal laid bare before the eyes of those she deceived. Tom looked between us, panic setting in. "Jenna, I'm so sorry," he began, his voice weak. "Don't," I cut him off. "I'm not interested in your apologies. I'm interested in the truth." Alex stepped forward, a folder in hand. "We have enough evidence to build a solid case," he said, addressing both Lisa and Tom. "It's in your best interest to settle this quietly." Lisa's shoulders slumped, defeated. She nodded slowly, finally understanding the severity of the situation. The private investigator handed me another set of documents. We also found financial discrepancies in your joint accounts, he told me, giving Lisa a stern look. Seems like the deception runs deeper than just the affair. The room was heavy with betrayal and legal threats. I turned to Lisa, my resolve hardening. This is just the beginning, Lisa. I want full transparency and compensation. And Tom, I looked at him with disdain, stay away from my life. As they left, the house felt eerily silent, but it was a silence filled with victory. The first battle was won, but the war was far from over. As I sat alone in the quiet, I knew this was only the beginning of her nightmare, and mine had just morphed into a crusade for justice. The fallout from the confrontation lingered in the air like a thick fog, impossible to ignore. As I drove away from the house that once felt like a sanctuary, my phone finally buzzed with a call I had been expecting. It was Mia, her voice filled with concern. Jenna, how did it go? Are you okay? I confronted them, both of them together. It was brutal, Mia. My voice was steady, but inside, the turmoil churned. Your brother was there too. It's all out in the open now. Mia sighed, the sound heavy with regret. I'm sorry you have to go through that, Jenna. What's the next step? We'd push for a settlement. I'm not letting her get away with this, not easily. The determination in my voice surprised even me. Good, you deserve justice. And Jenna, if you need me to testify or anything, just say the word. I'm with you on this. Gratitude washed over me. Thank you, Mia. That means more than you know. After hanging up, I drove straight to my lawyer's office. Alex was waiting, his office a bulwark of legal books and papers. As I walked in, he looked up, his expression serious. We've got a tough fight ahead, he warned. But we're in a strong position. I've scheduled a meeting with Lisa's lawyer tomorrow. We'll see how they want to play this. Play hardball, I instructed firmly. I want everything out in the open. Financials, the affair, everything. Alex nodded, jotting down notes. I'll push for full disclosure. It's time to see how much they're willing to reveal. The meeting was set, and the next morning, I faced Lisa and her lawyer in a stark, uninviting conference room. Lisa's eyes were downcast, her usual confidence gone. Her lawyer, a sharp-suited woman named Marian, began the discussion. Miss Holt, my client acknowledges the mistakes she's made and is prepared to discuss the terms of a settlement, Marian stated, her tone professional yet cold. The mistakes she's made have ruined lives, I countered sharply. I want full financial transparency and compensation for the emotional distress. And let's not forget about the breach of our marriage contract. Marian paused, assessing me with a calculating eye. I understand your position. We are prepared to offer a settlement, but we request discretion and a quick resolution to avoid further distress. Discretion was Lisa's responsibility, not mine, I shot back. The tension in the room was palpable. I'll consider the offer, but I want it noted that this isn't just about money, it's about accountability. As we wrapped up the tense meeting, Marian pulled me aside. Miss Holt, while I represent my client, I admire your resolve. We'll make sure our settlement offer reflects the gravity of your grievances. As I left the building, the weight of the ongoing battle pressed down on me, but the fire of resolve burned brighter. This was far from over, and I was ready for whatever came next. My crusade for justice was just beginning, and I was not alone in this fight. The legal battles dragged on, stretching into weeks that turned into months. Each meeting, each document reviewed, and each testimony given chipped away at the fortress of lies that had once seemed impenetrable. My resolve never wavered, fueled by the betrayal and bolstered by the support of Mia and Alex. But as the final court date approached, a nagging suspicion tugged at my conscience. Was there more to Lisa's betrayal than just an affair? The courthouse was a flurry of activity as I arrived for the last hearing. Alex briefed me one last time, his expression more serious than usual. Jenna, whatever happens today, you fought bravely. Be prepared for anything. I nodded, tightening my grip on the files I carried like a shield. Inside the courtroom, the air was thick with anticipation. Lisa and her lawyer, Marian, were already seated. Lisa's eyes met mine, a flicker of something unreadable passing between us. As the proceedings began, Marian stood and addressed the judge. Your Honor, before we proceed, my client has something she wishes to disclose. Something that will significantly impact the proceedings. All eyes turned to Lisa as she stood, her hands trembling visibly. Your Honor, I have not been truthful, she began, her voice quavering. Not just to Jenna, but to everyone. This affair, it was a distraction from something much larger. I felt Alex stiffen beside me. What are you talking about, Lisa? I demanded, my voice echoing in the silent courtroom. Lisa took a deep breath. The money in our joint accounts, it wasn't just mismanaged. I've been embezzling for my company, using our accounts to hide the funds. The affair, it was partly to cover this up. Gasps filled the room. Mia, sitting behind me, let out a soft cry. The betrayal deepened, spreading its roots into aspects of our lives I hadn't even considered. The judge called for order as the courtroom erupted into whispers. Miss Carter, you are admitting to embezzlement and implicating yourself further than this court was aware. Yes, Your Honor. I am ready to face the consequences. I have already informed my company and they are pursuing charges. I deceived everyone, including Tom, to hide my crimes. Marian quickly intervened. Your Honor, we request a recess to discuss these new revelations and their impact on the ongoing proceedings. Granted a brief recess, I found myself outside the courtroom, the cool air doing little to calm my racing heart. Mia approached, her face pale. Jenna, I'm so sorry. I had no idea about the embezzlement. It's not your fault, Mia. I sighed, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. When we reconvened, the atmosphere had shifted palpably. The judge addressed the court solemnly, acknowledging the gravity of Lisa's confession. As part of her cooperation, the court offered Lisa a plea deal for her crimes, which she accepted. Outside the courthouse, Lisa stopped me. Jenna, I'm so sorry for everything. I never meant for any of this to hurt you like it did. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not just the woman who had betrayed me, but someone who was deeply broken. I hope you find some peace, Lisa, I said, not sure if I meant it for her or for me. As I walked away, the burden of the past months felt lighter. The fight was over, not with a fiery showdown, but with a startling revelation that changed everything. And as I moved forward, I knew this was not just an end, but a new beginning.